The night was quiet, too quiet. The forest stretched wide under a pale moon, shadows moving between the trees. The air was heavy, filled with silence that felt unnatural. Birds did not sing. Insects did not buzz. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Something was wrong, and the humans could feel it. They were not alone. From the darkness, shapes moved with purpose. Tall figures, armored in strange suits, carried weapons that glowed faintly. Their eyes shone like cold fire through their helmets. They were hunters, but not human hunters. They had come from the stars, traveling across endless space, searching for prey. And tonight, their prey was mankind. The aliens believed humans were weak. They had studied us from afar, watching villages, watching cities. They saw fear in our eyes when strange lights appeared in the sky. They saw panic when people vanished without a trace. To them, humans were nothing more than animals to chase, capture, and kill. The hunt began with silence. One alien raised a hand, signaling the others. They spread out, moving like shadows, their steps soundless on the forest floor. Their weapons hummed softly, ready to fire. They expected an easy game. They expected screams, running, chaos. But the forest was not empty. A small group of humans had gathered near the edge of the valley. Farmers, hunters, and villagers stood together, holding crude weapons, spears, bows, and torches. Their faces were pale, their hands shaking. They knew the hunters were coming. They had seen them before. They had lost friends, family, neighbors. Tonight, they were ready. The leader of the humans, an old man with sharp eyes, whispered to the group. "Stay quiet. Watch the shadows. Do not run. Tonight, we fight." The hunters moved closer, unaware of the trap waiting for them. They thought themselves clever, stalking prey that had no chance. But the humans had learned. They had studied the hunters just as the hunters studied them. They had seen how the aliens moved, how they attacked, how they relied on their strange weapons. And they had found weaknesses. The first alien stepped into the clearing. His weapon glowed, scanning for heat and movement. He saw nothing. He turned his head, confused. Then, from above, a rope snapped tight around his neck. The alien was pulled upward, hanging from a tree. He struggled, clawing at the rope, but the humans had tied it strong. His weapon fell to the ground, useless. The other hunters froze. This was not part of the game. Prey did not fight back. Prey did not set traps. A second alien moved forward, raising his weapon. But before he could fire, a spear flew from the shadows, piercing his chest. He fell with a heavy thud, his armor cracking. The humans stepped out of hiding, their eyes burning with anger. The hunters realized too late, the prey was waiting. The forest exploded with sound. Torches lit the night, arrows flew, and humans charged with spears. The aliens fired their weapons, beams of light cutting through the trees. But the humans did not scatter. They moved together, striking from all sides. One alien tried to retreat, but a pit trap opened beneath his feet. He fell into spikes sharpened from wood. His scream echoed through the valley, silenced quickly by the dark. The hunters were shocked. This was supposed to be sport. This was supposed to be easy. But the prey had teeth. The prey had claws. The old man shouted, "Do not fear them. They bleed like us." The humans roared, their courage rising. They had lost too much to run again. Tonight, they would show the hunters what it meant to face mankind. The aliens regrouped, firing wildly, but their fear grew. Every shadow seemed alive. Every sound was a threat. The forest itself felt hostile, as if the land had turned against them. One alien commander raised his voice, calm but sharp. "Hold the line. They are only animals." But deep inside, he knew the truth. These were not animals. These were predators. The battle raged on. Humans fell, but more rose to fight. The hunters killed, but every kill was answered with another strike. The aliens had technology, but the humans had something stronger, the will to survive. Minutes passed like hours. The clearing became a battlefield of fire and blood. The hunters, once confident, now looked over their shoulders, searching for escape. Then, silence returned. The last alien in the clearing stood alone, his weapon shaking in his hands. Around him, humans closed in, their torches burning bright. He looked at their faces, tired, scarred, but fearless. He saw no prey. He saw predators staring back at him. The old man stepped forward, his voice steady. "You came to hunt us. But you forgot one thing. We are hunters too." The alien raised his weapon, but before he could fire, a dozen spears struck him. He fell, his body heavy, his weapon fading. The humans stood victorious, breathing hard, their eyes fixed on the forest. They knew more hunters were out there. They knew this was only the beginning. But tonight, they had sent a message. The hunters had become the hunted. And somewhere in the shadows, watching from a distance, another alien whispered to himself, "They are not prey. They are predators." The forest grew quiet again, but the silence was different now. It was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of victory, heavy with warning. The hunt was far from over, but humanity had taken the first step. The forest was quiet again, but the silence carried weight. The hunters had lost comrades, and the humans had tasted victory. Yet the night was far from over. The alien commander stood at the edge of the clearing, his helmet glowing faintly. He studied the battlefield, the fallen bodies of his hunters, and the strange courage of the humans. His mind raced. This was not how the hunt was supposed to go. Humans were supposed to run, scream, and die. Instead, they fought back. Instead, they killed. He raised his hand, signaling the survivors to regroup. 5 hunters stepped forward, their weapons humming. Their armor was scarred, their movements slower than before. Fear had touched them, though they tried to hide it. The commander spoke in a low voice, sharp and cold. "Do not underestimate them. They are clever. They are dangerous. But they are still prey. Tonight, we finish this." The hunters nodded, but doubt lingered in their eyes. Deep in the forest, humans moved like shadows. They carried torches, bows, and stolen alien weapons. The old man led them, his voice steady, his steps firm. He knew the hunters would return. He knew the fight was not finished. But he also knew something else: the hunters were afraid. Fear was a weapon, and tonight, the humans would use it. The hunters advanced, scanning the trees. Their weapons glowed, searching for heat, searching for movement. They expected another ambush, another trap. But the forest seemed empty. Then, a scream echoed through the night. One hunter spun around, his weapon raised. He saw nothing. The scream had come from nowhere, from everywhere. Another sound followed, the crack of branches, the rush of footsteps. The hunters tightened their formation, their eyes darting. Suddenly, a body fell from the trees. It was one of their own, torn apart, armor broken, weapon missing. The hunters froze. Who had killed him? How had they done it? The commander's voice shook for the first time. "Stay alert. They are close." The humans were not hiding anymore. They were hunting. From the shadows, arrows flew. One hunter fell, pierced through the neck. Another stumbled as fire spread across his armor. The humans attacked from all sides, their movements fast, their strikes precise. The hunters fired back, beams of light cutting through the forest. Trees burned, smoke filled the air, but the humans did not stop. They moved like wolves, circling, striking, vanishing. The commander roared, "Hold your ground." But his words carried no strength. His hunters were breaking. One alien tried to run, but a net dropped from above, pulling him to the ground. Humans rushed forward, stabbing with spears, striking with stolen weapons. His screams echoed, then faded. The commander's heart pounded. This was not a hunt. This was war. He turned, searching for escape, but everywhere he looked, humans were waiting. Their eyes glowed in the firelight, their faces hard, their voices silent. They did not speak. They did not shout. They only moved forward, step by step, like predators closing in on prey. The commander raised his weapon, firing wildly. A human fell, but two more rushed forward. He struck again, but his weapon sputtered, drained of power. Panic filled his chest. Then, he saw the old man. The human leader stood at the edge of the clearing, torch in hand, eyes sharp. He did not move. He only watched. The commander felt something he had never felt before, fear of prey. The humans attacked again, their strikes relentless. The hunters fell one by one, their bodies broken, their weapons stolen. The commander fought, but his strength faded. He stumbled, his armor cracked, his vision blurred. The old man stepped closer, his voice calm. "You came to hunt us. But you forgot. We are hunters too." The commander tried to speak, but his words failed. He dropped his weapon, his knees hitting the ground. The humans surrounded him, their torches burning bright. He looked into their eyes and saw no weakness, no fear. He saw predators. The old man raised his hand, and the humans struck. The commander fell, his body heavy, his breath fading. His last thought was a warning for his kind, for all who would come after. Do not hunt humans. They are not prey. The forest grew quiet once more. The humans stood together, their faces lit by fire. They had won again, but they knew the war was not finished. More hunters would come. More battles would follow. But tonight, they had shown the truth. The hunters had become the hunted. And somewhere beyond the stars, others would hear the story. Others would learn the warning. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was rising. The forest still carried the smell of smoke and blood. The hunters had fallen, but the humans knew more would come. The old man stood at the center of the clearing, his torch burning low. Around him, villagers gathered, their faces pale but determined. They had survived, but survival was not enough. They needed a plan. The old man spoke softly, his voice steady. "We cannot wait for them to strike again. We must think like them. We must hunt them." The humans listened. Farmers, hunters, and children stood together, their eyes fixed on him. Fear lingered, but something stronger had taken root, resolve. The humans began to prepare. They studied the fallen weapons, strange machines that glowed with alien light. They did not understand all of it, but they learned quickly. They discovered how to fire beams of energy, how to drain power cells, how to use the weapons against their makers. The hunters had underestimated them. They believed humans were slow, weak, and simple. But humans were clever. Humans adapted. In the days that followed, the villagers built traps deeper in the forest. They dug pits, sharpened spikes, and strung ropes high in the trees. They used fire as a weapon, setting torches along paths, ready to ignite the woods if needed. They also began to move differently. No longer did they scatter when danger came. Instead, they worked together, signaling with whistles, drums, and hand signs. They became a pack, each person part of a larger plan. The hunters returned, expecting easy prey. But the forest had changed. One group of aliens entered a valley, their weapons scanning for heat. They saw nothing. The valley was quiet, too quiet. Then, the ground shifted beneath them. Nets pulled tight, ropes snapped, and the hunters were dragged upward into the trees. From the shadows, humans appeared, their faces painted with ash, their eyes sharp. They struck fast, spears piercing armor, fire burning through suits. The hunters screamed, but their cries were swallowed by the forest. The old man watched from a distance, his heart heavy but proud. Humanity was learning. Humanity was fighting. The hunters tried new tactics. They moved in larger groups, covering each other, firing in all directions. But the humans adapted again. They split into smaller packs, striking from multiple sides, vanishing before the hunters could regroup. Every battle taught them something new. Every loss made them stronger. One night, a young boy discovered how to overload an alien weapon. He pressed the wrong button, and the weapon exploded, destroying a tree but leaving him alive. The humans studied the blast, realizing they could turn the hunters' technology against them. Soon, they began setting traps with stolen weapons, creating explosions that tore through alien armor. The hunters grew restless. They had come for sport, but now they faced war. Their commander sent warnings to his soldiers: do not underestimate them. They are not prey. They are predators. But the warnings came too late. The humans had changed. They no longer waited for the hunters to strike. They began to move into the forest at night, stalking the aliens, watching their camps, learning their routines. They struck when the hunters were weakest, when they slept, when they ate, when they thought they were safe. The hunters felt the fear grow. Every shadow seemed alive. Every sound carried danger. One alien whispered to another, "They are everywhere. They are watching us." The commander tried to keep order, but his soldiers were breaking. They had never faced prey that fought back like this. They had never faced prey that hunted them. The old man gathered his people once more. His voice was calm, but his words carried power. "We are not animals. We are not prey. We are hunters. And we will show them." The humans cheered, their courage rising. They had lost much, but they had gained something greater: unity. The forest became their weapon. Every tree, every shadow, every sound was part of their strategy. The hunters could not move without fear. They could not fight without doubt. The humans had turned the hunt upside down. One night, the hunters entered a clearing, their weapons ready. But the clearing was empty. No humans waited. No traps were visible. The commander stepped forward, uneasy. He sensed danger, but he could not see it. Then, the ground shook. Fire erupted from hidden pits, arrows flew from the trees, and humans charged from all sides. The hunters fired back, but their formation collapsed. The commander shouted, "Retreat!" But his words were drowned by screams. The humans struck with precision, their movements sharp, their attacks relentless. The hunters fell, their bodies broken, their weapons stolen. The commander stumbled, his armor cracked, his vision blurred. He looked around and saw humans everywhere, their faces hard, their eyes burning. He realized the truth. The hunters had become the hunted. The humans stood victorious once more, their torches lighting the night. They had fought with courage, with unity, with strategy. They had shown the hunters what it meant to face mankind. And somewhere beyond the stars, others would hear the story. Others would learn the warning. Humanity was rising. Humanity was dangerous. Humanity was the apex predator. The forest was no longer the hunter's playground. It had become a battlefield, and every shadow carried danger. The alien commander, scarred and weary, stood with his soldiers at the edge of a valley. His eyes scanned the trees, searching for movement, searching for prey. But deep inside, he knew the truth: the prey was gone. What remained were predators. The hunters had lost too many. Their numbers had thinned, their courage broken. Yet pride forced them forward. they could not return to their ships in defeat. They had to prove their strength, even if it meant walking into death. The valley stretched wide, silent under the stars. It looked empty, too empty. The commander raised his hand, signaling the group to advance. 10 hunters moved forward, their weapons glowing, their armor shining faintly in the moonlight. At first, nothing happened. The valley seemed calm, peaceful even. The hunters relaxed, their steps lighter. Perhaps the humans had fled. Perhaps the prey had finally broken. Then, the ground shifted. A rumble shook the valley floor. Hidden pits opened, ropes snapped, and fire erupted from beneath the earth. The hunters stumbled, their formation collapsing. From the trees, arrows flew, torches blazed, and humans charged with spears and stolen weapons. The valley exploded with chaos. The hunters fired back, beams of light cutting through the night. Trees burned, smoke filled the air, but the humans did not scatter. They moved together, striking from all sides, their attacks sharp and relentless. One hunter fell into a pit, impaled on spikes. Another was dragged upward by ropes, his body torn apart by spears. The commander shouted orders, but his voice was drowned by screams. The humans had planned this moment. They had studied the hunters, learned their movements, and built their trap with patience. Tonight, the hunters would face the full strength of mankind. The old man stood at the edge of the valley, his torch burning bright. His eyes were sharp, his voice steady. Do not fear them. They bleed like us. The humans roared, their courage rising. They had lost too much to run again. Tonight, they would show the hunters what it meant to face humanity. The hunters tried to regroup, but panic spread. Their weapons sputtered, their armor cracked. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound a threat. They fired wildly, but their beams struck only trees and smoke. The humans pressed forward, their movements precise. They struck from above, from below, from every side. The hunters had no escape. The commander fought desperately, his weapon glowing, his strikes fierce. He killed, but every kill was answered with another attack. His soldiers fell one by one, their bodies broken, their screams fading. He looked around and saw humans everywhere. Their faces were hard, their eyes burning with fire. They were not prey. They were predators. The commander's heart pounded. Fear filled his chest. He realized the truth, the hunt was over. The old man stepped forward, his voice calm but sharp. You came to hunt us. But you forgot. We are hunters too. The humans charged, their spears piercing, their torches blazing. The commander stumbled, his armor cracked, his vision blurred. He tried to speak, but his words failed. He dropped his weapon, his knees hitting the ground. The humans surrounded him, their torches burning bright. He looked into their eyes and saw no weakness, no fear. He saw predators staring back at him. The old man raised his hand, and the humans struck. The commander fell, his body heavy, his breath fading. His last thought was a warning for his kind, for all who would come after. Do not hunt humans. They are not prey. The valley grew quiet once more. The humans stood together, their faces lit by fire. They had won again, but they knew the war was not finished. More hunters would come. More battles would follow. But tonight, they had shown the truth. The hunters had become the hunted. And somewhere beyond the stars, others would hear the story. Others would learn the warning. Humanity was rising. Humanity was dangerous. Humanity was the apex predator. The valley was silent after the battle. Smoke drifted across the ground, carrying the smell of fire and blood. The humans stood together, their torches burning bright. They had fought, they had survived, and they had won. But victory was only the beginning. The old man looked at the faces around him. Farmers, hunters, children, and mothers, all had fought side by side. Their eyes carried exhaustion, but also something new. Confidence. Strength. They were no longer prey. They were becoming something greater. Word of the battles spread quickly. Villages whispered of hunters who had fallen, of aliens who had fled into the night. Stories traveled from one valley to another, carried by survivors and messengers. Soon, the tale reached distant lands. Humanity was rising. The hunters, scattered and broken, tried to regroup. Their commander was gone, their numbers cut in half. Fear spread among them like disease. They had come for sport, but now they faced war. One alien soldier whispered to another, "They are not prey. They are predators." The humans continued to prepare. They studied the stolen weapons, learning how to use them, how to break them, how to turn them into traps. They built stronger defenses, dug deeper pits, and sharpened more spikes. They trained together, moving like packs of wolves, each person part of a larger plan. Children carried messages between villages. Hunters scouted the forests, watching for alien movement. Farmers built barricades from wood and stone. Every person had a role. Every person became part of the fight. The aliens tried to strike again, but the humans were ready. One night, a group of hunters entered a village, expecting fear. Instead, they found silence. The houses were empty, the streets deserted. Confused, they moved deeper into the village. Then, the trap closed. Doors burst open, humans charged with spears and stolen weapons. Nets dropped from rooftops, fire spread across the streets. The hunters fought, but they were surrounded. Their weapons sputtered, their armor cracked. The humans struck with precision, their movements sharp and relentless. The hunters fell, their screams echoing through the night. The village stood victorious, its people united. The old man watched from a distance, his heart heavy but proud. Humanity was learning faster than the hunters could adapt. Humanity was fighting with courage, with unity, with strategy. The aliens realized the truth. They had underestimated mankind. They had believed humans were weak, simple, and slow. But humans were clever. Humans adapted. Humans endured. Beyond the stars, whispers spread. Other alien species heard rumors of hunters who never returned, of humans who fought back, of prey that became predators. Fear grew among them. The humans did not know these whispers yet, but they felt the change. They felt the strength rising within them. The old man gathered his people once more. His voice was calm, but his words carried power. "We are not animals. We are not prey. We are hunters. And we will show them." The humans cheered, their courage rising. They had lost much, but they had gained something greater, unity. The forest became their weapon. Every tree, every shadow, every sound was part of their strategy. The hunters could not move without fear. They could not fight without doubt. The humans had turned the hunt upside down. One night, the hunters entered another valley, their weapons ready. But the valley was empty. No humans waited. No traps were visible. The commander of the hunters, scarred and weary, stepped forward, uneasy. He sensed danger, but he could not see it. Then, the ground shook. Fire erupted from hidden pits, arrows flew from the trees, and humans charged from all sides. The hunters fired back, but their formation collapsed. The commander shouted, "Retreat!" But his words were drowned by screams. The humans struck with precision, their movements sharp, their attacks relentless. The hunters fell, their bodies broken, their weapons stolen. The commander stumbled, his armor cracked, his vision blurred. He looked around and saw humans everywhere, their faces hard, their eyes burning. He realized the truth. The hunters had become the hunted. The humans stood victorious once more, their torches lighting the night. They had fought with courage, with unity, with strategy. They had shown the hunters what it meant to face mankind. And somewhere beyond the stars, others would hear the story. Others would learn the warning. Humanity was rising. Humanity was dangerous. Humanity was the apex predator. The night was heavy with silence. The valley lay in ruins, filled with smoke and broken bodies. The humans stood together, their torches burning low, their faces lit by firelight. They had fought, they had survived, and they had won again. But this victory was different. It carried a message, a warning, a truth that would echo far beyond the forest. Among the fallen hunters, one alien still breathed. His armor was cracked, his weapon gone, his body weak. He crawled across the ground, his hands trembling, his breath shallow. He knew he was dying, but he also knew he had one task left. He activated a small device on his wrist. A faint light glowed, recording his words, sending them into the stars. His voice was broken, but his message was clear. "They are not prey," he whispered. "Do not hunt humans. They are predators. They are dangerous. They will rise." The humans watched him, their faces hard. They did not stop him. They wanted his words to spread. They wanted the stars to know the truth. The old man stepped forward, his torch burning bright. He looked at the dying hunter, his eyes sharp, his voice steady. "Tell them what you saw. Tell them what you learned. Tell them we are not weak." The alien nodded weakly, his breath fading. His last words carried into the night, carried into the stars. "Beware humanity. Beware the apex predators." Then, silence. The alien's body grew still, his device flickering one last time before fading. The humans stood together, their torches lighting the valley. They had won, but they knew the war was not finished. More hunters would come. More battles would follow. But tonight, they had sent a message that could not be ignored. The old man raised his voice, calm but powerful. "We are not prey. We are not animals. We are hunters. And we will rise." The humans cheered, their courage rising. They had lost much, but they had gained something greater: unity, strength, and the will to fight. Beyond the stars, the message traveled. Alien worlds received the warning. Species that once laughed at humanity now felt fear. They whispered of hunters who never returned, of prey that fought back, of humans who rose as predators. Some dismissed the message, calling it lies. Others believed it, their hearts heavy with dread. But all remembered the words, "Do not hunt humans." On Earth, the humans prepared for what was to come. They built stronger defenses, trained harder, and united villages into armies. They studied the stolen weapons, learning how to use them, how to break them, how to turn them into tools of war. Children carried messages across lands. Hunters scouted the skies, watching for ships. Farmers built barricades, sharpening wood and stone. Every person had a role. Every person became part of the fight. The old man stood at the center of it all, his eyes sharp, his voice steady. He knew the war was far from over. He knew more hunters would come. But he also knew something greater: humanity was ready. The forest had changed. The land had changed. Humanity had changed. No longer did they run. No longer did they hide. They stood tall, their eyes burning with fire, their hearts filled with courage. They were not prey. They were predators. The stars would remember this night. The hunters would remember this valley. And humanity would rise, stronger than ever. The old man looked to the sky, his torch burning bright. He whispered softly, but his words carried power. "We are ready. Let them come." The humans stood with him, their torches lighting the night. Together, they watched the stars, waiting for the next battle, waiting for the next hunt. But deep inside, they knew the truth. The hunt was over. The hunters had become the hunted. And somewhere beyond the stars, fear spread. Fear of mankind. Fear of humanity. Fear of the apex predators.